In this next activity, we're going to be creating a counter, and basically what's going to happen is I've put a button on my screen, and every time I click it, this actual number is going to go up by 1, and hence why it says count plus 1. Now, this type of program is embedded into almost any other program that you can think of where there's numbers. You need to know how to make sure that when clicks are pressed, that it sometimes calculates a certain value. So for example, when you play a video game and there's a scoring system, every time the score goes up when you score points, okay, that needs to get registered. And that's using a similar type of script that we're going to be using in this program for this count activity. So let's get our screen elements up. What we have is a label, and that label is called LBL count, as you can see here. And then I've also got a button called BTN count. So they're the two screen elements that I have running in this program. Now, this is a rather simple program to do. So basically all the coding is going to go into this button. So I'm going to double click on the button. Okay, and the first thing I need to do is declare my variable. And this time, once again, I'm going to do it in the public class. Okay, so I'm going to go dim count as integer, because obviously it's a number. Okay, and then I've got to then basically say what's going to occur when the button's pressed. So when the button's pressed, it's going to be count equals count plus 1. Okay, so every time the button's pressed, count is going to increase by 1. And so it should go up by 1 every time I press the button. I then need to do an assignment statement to link it, the count, to an actual object. So LBL count dot text equals count. So let's give this activity a try. So we'll hit the play button. Okay, and here's my counter. And every time I press count, the value goes up by 1. Okay, so I could center that better, basically it's on my screen design, but basically, as you can see, I've now made a counter. Every time the button is pressed, the count goes up by 1. Now, you might think of ways of extending upon this activity. What you might actually do is add in some more buttons, and the count could go up +5 or -1 when those buttons are pressed, okay, in order to give different values or add different additions. So this could work with things such as calculator programs, or pretty much any program that involves a calculation. If you're making like emulating a shopping register where things come in and people can buy different products, or as mentioned at the beginning, some sort of scoring system for a game that you're creating. But knowing how to create a counter is obviously a very powerful tool when creating a program, so give it a try.